What is up, guys? Welcome to the patch 7.0.3 Assassination Rogue Guide. Now, over the course of this video, you're going to be knowing your stat priority, you're going to be knowing a rotation, you're going to be knowing how this spec plays out within our pre-patch. All of your abilities are currently tuned around being level 110, so while we do not have the artifact weapons, I do feel it is eagerly enough to understand that damage numbers are out of tune at the moment. I'm currently doing in between 60, 70, sometimes 80k, and on the patch 6.2.34 guide I released a while back, I was doing 90ish k, and this was all tested on Archimon, so I wanted to keep the numbers the same fight, same everything, just to show a little bit of how things are playing out. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started in here. So we notice my UI has changed around just a little bit. I am in the process of reworking my UI for Legion. Uh, Elv UI and all of our add-ons are currently being updated as we speak now. So when I get that full weak aura and UI, I will have a definitely a screenshot of that UI down in the description below where all my weak auras posted up. But as of right now, my weak auras are down except for this energy bar in the middle. The energy bar in the middle is just showing the 5 combo points with the 170 energy. So let's go ahead and show some of the new things off. So with our talents, we are obviously playing Assassination Rogue. Assassination is just finally the spec of poisons. But the weirder thing around the spec that is supposedly designed around poisons is you're actually doing more with bleeds than you are with poisons. Right now, Rupture is one of the only hardest hitting ability within your spec, and it is doing, at least with my current gear, which is 738, it is doing about 50% of my damage outside of Soul Cap Trinket. So that's something to note. And our talents, I am running these talents as a very cookie cutter setup. I'm trying to run the best talents for someone who's just starting out at boosted to someone with my item level of 740. So granted, that is a 100 item level difference. So I tried to get stuff that would keep your energy at a high point, keep it flowing real quick, but also with the damage output that we need to be having. And I feel like I got the spec down pretty well. So you're going to be running Hemorrhag or Hemorrhage, which rips a gushing wound open, increasing all bleed damage by 25% for 20 seconds. So while this dot is up, all bleed damage is increased. Something we need to learn, Assassination Rogues has a little bit of a higher skill cap now. If you played the WAD Rogue, Dispatch, and stuff like that have been taken out of the game. So we're forced on Hemorrhage. Had this been a spec around poisons and what I had thought it was in the PTR, I was using Master Poisoner in the PTR, but without numbers, it looked okay. With numbers, it is falling behind. Elaborate planning is just out of the question right now. We're not doing enough damage to have our damage increased, and you're not keeping the damage up to keep it going higher and faster. Level 30, people have been telling me Night Stalker is the way to go just because of the damage increase coming out of it. I personally use Shadow Focus for that 50% reduced spell. So if we go into stealth, we will notice Mutilate by itself is 55 energy. Inside stealth, the WAD version of Shadow Focus, it was 13. Now it is 28. You're going to be able to cast this. It's going to give you 2 to 4 combo points. Keep it. However, you're going to be opening, at least for the opener, with Garrote. Or if you're in PvP, use Cheap Shot, but I open with Garrote no matter what, just because of the damage coming from behind it, and the fact that it's a bleed. Level 45, we're going to be running Vigor. Increase your maximum energy by 50 and your energy regeneration by 10%. So, a lot of people are saying Deeper Stratagem is pulling ahead. There is a slight curve to playing with Deeper Stratagem. You're going to be running with 6 combo points, and each finishing move is going to be dealing higher damage. But you have to have everything lining up perfectly. I feel like that's going to be taking effect when we get into Legion and when we have the artifact fully maxed. Deeper Stratagem is going to take over. But as of right now, I feel Vigor is your way to go. Level 60. Any of the level 60 talent is good to use. This is basically a situational talent of how do we want to stay alive? Do you want to have a 10% leech? Do you want to be able to reduce damage incoming with faint? Or do you just want to take reduced damage if you're going to die instead? That's pretty much how those 3 talents work. Level 75. If you can stun a target, I would go Internal Bleeding, but I personally am using Thuggy. If you have ads on anything, target-wise, so we're going to take Iskar for an example. You're going to throw a Garrote up on one of the ads from Iskar. The moment that dies, you just instantly turn and pop another Garrote on. You're going to be sitting there spamming bleeds. The more bleeds you have, the faster your poison does, the more energy you have, and energy is just flying at your face. So, the more energy you have, the faster you can cast stuff. It flows really, really well. Level 90, we're going to be taking Insinuate. So, if anyone played Subtlety back in 6.2.4, this is basically a total knockoff of that. 45-second cooldown, twisting your blades into a target, causing your bleeds to bleed out 400% faster. So, always keep this, like, you're going to want to try and cast this on cooldown because keeping it on cooldown is a DPS increase. But what I always do to keep making sure that this has the highest damage output to go with it, with this talent, is you're going to have a Garrote up, you're going to have a Hemo up, and you're going to have a 30-second Rupture up. And then you're going to cast this. Everything's going to be reduced down to like 5 seconds, and this is where your energy comes into play. Energy is going to be flying at your face. This is your burst window. So while casting Insinuate, you're going to mutilate twice, Envenom, mutilate twice, Rupture. And by the time you have that Rupture will be ticking down to the like 0.1, 0.0 second range. And sometimes it will have fallen off. Level 100, run Venom Rush. You're going to be getting an extra 3 energy every time. So instead of 7, we're getting 10 every time. And I cannot stress this enough. Venomous Wounds has been reworked. I cannot stress this enough. You regain 10 energy each time a bleed damage a poison target. Now what this means is if you have a poison up, which you should, deadly poison is your poison to go. If you have that poison up and you apply a bleed, so Garrote, Hemo, or Rupture, you're going to be getting 10 energy back from that. And every time Rupture ticks, you get 10 energy back from that. This is a very cleave-oriented spec with Rupture. And so, just to go over a few things that we kept here, you have lost Smoke Bomb, you have lost another one which I will think of here in a second, Ambush. We have lost Ambush. And we have also lost Cloak and Dagger, which are the two things that I used most of the time, just to jump around. But because we lost both of those, Shadow Step is baseline now. If anyone remembers Shadow Step back in 6.2.4, Shadow Step was a level 60 talent. So that's baseline. But as of right now, all stuns do no damage, they just stun targets and all of that. Crimson Vial is baseline for all rogues. So recuperate, that's what it was, is gone. This replaces that. It is now a 30% over 6 seconds. Doesn't matter, you can drink it, 15 energy. We've kept Sap. I haven't seemed to use it. Poison Knife is a new one. So think of Shuriken Toss for level 90. This basically is Shuriken Toss at a lower energy cost. Shuriken Toss applied lethal and non-lethal and gave you a combo point. Poison Knife does the same thing. Lower damage, lower energy, but allows you to close in if you're using crippling poison. Or we don't have crippling poison anymore. Oh yeah, we do, right there, crippling poison. Which can be increased even further if you're using Master Poisoner. So I have a do feeling Master Poisoner is going to be good in PvP if you don't like the full burst. But that is pretty much it. Other than Vendetta and all of your WAD perks being removed, that is pretty much the talents slash spells. So let's go ahead and get into the basic rotation. And this is a very, very basic rotation. Turn down the sound volume and the music just a little bit so you all can hear me. Alright, so how we're going to be opening now for the patch 7.0.3 is Garrote into Mutilate into Rupture. Now, I probably should have casted a Hemo in there, so if we reset that with Vanish, you're going to go Garrote into Hemo into Mutilate into Rupture into Vendetta, Ring, and Sanguinate. And that's going to automatically put that, so you're going to double Mutilate Envenom, double Mutilate Rupture. Refresh Rupture below 5, refresh Garrote when it comes off CD, and refresh Hemo below 5 as well. That's pretty much it, guys, other than tossing Vendetta in right before you hit Insanguinate and keeping Rupture up. So if we want to spread Rupture, this is where this gets tricky, and we see energy flying at me because of all the 10 energy. So this is where this gets a little tricky. You're going to want to pool as much energy as possible, have close to full energy, Rupture here, and this is where this dynamic weak aura comes into play. 5 combo point Rupture, Rupture over there, get a poison up on that other target, and then just switch back to this target and continue DPSing. So now we're going to get even more energy just because that's over there doing this. It's just sitting there ticking. You're going to be sitting there flowing with energy. So if we want to go ahead and back out and that might be why I've always stayed in combat. Just a second here. There's been a recent bug with 7.0.3 where that training dummy, until it decides to lose sight, won't actually get out of combat. And thanks to Soul Cap, it's probably going to stay inside combat. Come on now. Well, let me go ahead and garrison Hearthstone because there's training dummies in my garrison. So I can garrison Hearthstone and show you guys the rotation one more time. If you're wondering, most of this floating combat text right here in the middle actually is not in the base game anymore. So Asmongold did a add-on guide yesterday, and it is advanced interface options, and Deja character stats. So Deja character stats is actually a rework of the character UI, and advanced interface options. When you hit this, it gives you chat, this floating animation here. So they took most of the floating combat text out of the game. This puts some, if not all of that, back into the game. Very handy. But anyway, let's go ahead and do it on the Dungeoneer's training dummy. So we're going to be behind the target. You're going to cast Garrote into Hemo, into Mutilate, into Rupture, Ring, Mutilate to 5, Vendetta, Ensanguinate, and then Envenom, Mutilate, Mutilate, Rupture. And while Rupture is on its ticking down phase, you're just going to be sitting there casting Envenom, Hemo, and Garrote. Basics of this spec is just to keep Envenom, Garrote, and Rupture up. That's all it is. Thank you guys for watching. Have fun playing your Rogue and Legion. I hope to get a guide out with the artifact weapons within a week or two of launch. I want to try and get a guide out within a week just because you guys need to know fast, and I would like to know fast. So help me help you out, and we can get you a guide out. Anyway, that's for another video. Thanks, guys. Have a great week and a great Legion.